What's up, ladies and gentlemen, Universal Mastery. So what I do here is I break down the occult sciences, and I break them down to a very practical manner so that you can understand them, use them, and apply them in your day-to-day life and get real results with it, okay? Now, first thing I want to say is I want to give you some understanding on who I am and who you're getting this information from. So my name is Jeremiah Schwartz. I am a professional occultist. I am fully initiated in Kabbalah when it comes to the Sephiroth, when it comes to the Qliphoth, and when it comes to the tunnels of Set. I am studied with the tarot, and I am also studied with planetary energies and things in regards to astrology, okay? So once again, this is just to give you some clarity on who you're getting this information from, just to let you know you're not just getting this from somebody who's just been reading a bunch of books my whole life and never got my hands or feet wet. This is coming from somebody who is, before being studied, is a practitioner, someone who takes action and has the intention of gaining power from practice before just getting a whole bunch of knowledge, because knowledge is pointless if you don't have power. You got to have power to apply the knowledge, okay? So that's just to give you some clarity. Now, what are we going to be talking about in today's video? So today I want to explain exactly what is low magic versus high magic. Obviously, I'm going to title this video Low Magic versus High Magic, but the reality is it's not like you got to choose one or the other, or it's like one against the other. They're completely different sections of hidden science, and you definitely want to find a middle point, a balance point between both of them. But I am very aware that there's not a lot of people that understand exactly what low magic is and exactly what high magic is in the first place. So this is exactly what I'm going to be covering in today's video. So if you want to know, there goes my steak. Perfect timing. If you want to know what I'm talking about, then definitely stay tuned for the rest of the video. Okay, so let's jump right into this topic, okay? So let's start with low magic, okay? And the reason why we're going to start with low magic first is because this is a good starting point for most people, because a lot of the times people get into the occult field and they actually enter into this field a little bit skeptical. So they want to be able to do some sort of magic that actually produces a result, just to prove to them that what they're dealing with is actually solid and real. So this was actually how I started. I always knew the occult was very real. I always knew spirits existed. I always knew this stuff was real. This was always real to me, but I never knew that I would be able to be somebody that could literally, let's say, do some form of ritual or do some form of spell or do some occult working and then literally just completely control the reality around me. I never fully understood that, and I didn't know how profound that could be. So when I first got into the occult field, I started with two very first things: invocation, and then using spell work with the spirit that I was doing invocation with. And I did notice very profound change almost immediately having done that, and that really turned me on to, this is a real interesting science. This is a real interesting field that I want to become a full master at. And then I went head first, and one thing led to the next, which comes down to a whole initiatory system and process. But once again, there's a lot of people that start in their occult workings, and they just want to see if it's real or not. They want to see if this is truly what it is. I mean, it's a science, so they want to understand this science. They want to see if it really is a science, and they want to see if they can actually cause change using this occult science. But the reality is most people getting into it for the first time, they don't understand it's really a science. They just think it's like esoteric. They just think it's like, oh, if I worship this spirit, then the spirit's going to do everything for me, or whatever it may be. There's a lot of people that come from that perspective and come from that mindset. But once again, I do want to make this very clear. The occult in its totality is a science. There are numbers that this can all be broken down into, and if you understand the science behind the numbers, that means you can apply occult magic or occult practices in a intended way to get an intended outcome, okay? Deliberately. So that's the first thing that we want to understand. This is the context that we want to enter into. It is a science, okay? Now, when it comes to low magic, what exactly is low magic? Okay, a lot of people also think that the difference between high magic and low magic is that low magic is like a lower vibration or a lower frequency form of using occult science, and then people think that high magic is a higher frequency version of occult force and occult sciences. And that's not true. The difference between high magic and low magic has nothing to do with vibration. It has nothing to do with energy, and it has nothing to do with one's necessarily more powerful than the other. They both they both coexist with each other, okay? Low magic is physical plane magic. It's the low. It's the tangible, the solid, the here on earth right now in my manifest reality. The high magic has to do more with going outside of the 5 dimensions in regards to the multiverse and getting past the multiverse and connecting with source. Okay, so high magic is the entire process of trying to achieve source so that you step outside of the multiverse, which means you step outside of the matrix, yet still exist in the matrix, but as a spiritual being, you're existing outside of the multiverse, connecting with source, so that you're able to channel that source energy through yourself, your physical body here on earth, to cause that change in the physical plane. Okay, now this is kind of advanced, this is a lot to just throw in your face, but that's what high magic is, and that is the purpose of high magic. Low magic still requires a very high level of power to cause change, and the goal is to manifest your reality based off of the power that you have. So for example, the more power that you have in your energetic field and in your being, the more you're going to be able, with your knowledge of how to use occult forces and with your knowledge on how to use occult science, the more you're going to be able to create the reality around you here in the physical plane. So that comes along the lines of being able to become a millionaire, make money whenever you need money, increase your luck so that you always have good luck, cause people to fall in love with you based on who you're wanting to fall in love with you. I mean, even to the degree of completely controlling somebody where they can only think about you and that's about it. And it's like basically having a slave. This is all low magic. Being able to essentially cause people to do things that you want them to do based on once again, whatever it is that you're intending. Changing the perception of the mass collective on your being. So making sure that people see you in a way that you want to be seen in regards to respect, or in regards to being able to control people with your willpower and with your intention. Low magic has to do with essentially programming the matrix here on earth, which is running on 5 different timelines. So the number 5 is very significant. And this is where we see the pentagram being the 5-pointed star. On one end, it stands for earth, fire, water, air, and then the 5th point is the spirit. So on one end, we have the elemental forces. But then on the other end, not only do we have the elemental forces, but you can think of all of these as different timelines. So if you understand Kabbalah, you would understand that although you have the tree of life, and then there's the cliff off, which you could call the tree of death, although we have the tree of life in its totality, there are 5 different realms within the tree of life that are correlating to earth, fire, water, and air, just basing it off the elements, meaning they're basically different dimensions. And I mean, not basically, they are different dimensions. They are different dimensional planes within this earth plane that we live in. Okay, so there's 5 main dimensions that we perceive here on earth. Now, once again, to achieve source, the pathway to achieving source is what's going to be called high magic. Source, you could think of, is the energetic current that has created these 5 different dimensional planes, and it exists outside of them. So source is beyond the quantum wave function. Source is beyond these 5 dimensions. So there's a whole nother energetic current that is connected to source that we can't even begin to fully understand or comprehend, because we don't even perceive those other dimensions that are outside of the 5 that we're being affected by here on earth. And quite frankly, we have a lot of studying still to do on the current 5 dimensions here on earth. We're still understanding how to take advantage of it, still learning how to control it, still learning how to exist in the most balanced way within it. So the goal of high magic is to achieve source, to step outside of the 5 dimensions, link with source, but then channel all of your power, all of your knowledge into the current matrix here on earth, which is 5-dimensional, and become the new architect of the 5 dimensions that you've stepped out of and then come back into. Okay, this is advanced knowledge that I'm sharing right now. Okay, but it's time to share it, and some of you are really going to run with this. Okay, and I'm glad for that. So high magic is the path to source. Okay, it is the pathway to achieving source. Low magic is the path of controlling the world around you, completely and utterly creating copies of yourself, which means, and I'm going to make a whole video on that, which means you get your own divine intelligence, your own daemon, to a certain degree of power, which you can think of as a form of your soul fluid and spirit body combined, which is masculine and feminine, day, moon, balanced. This is your remote viewing body. To get this remote viewing body to a place of power where you can consciously project, remote view is what it's called in our in the United States government, and to be able to place that in other people, removing their current awareness. So let's say you place it into somebody, and this person has drug addiction, this person has all kinds of issues, this person doesn't know how to get out of the cycles they're locked into. Well, when you get to a certain place of power, you can erase the awareness of that person, hypothetically speaking, with your remote viewing body that has gained a lot of power that you're projecting on that person. You can take out their soul. Okay, so this is the technology. So you take away their soul, because the soul is the aspect of them that is suffering, because torture and suffering has been added to their soul, and their soul is shelled, which is producing an awareness for that person that is looping them in cycles that are causing more and more suffering. So what you would do is you would take the soul out of this person, which is Luciferic in nature, and this is all technology I've learned from Lucifer. You would take the soul out of this person, and I have done it, and it works 100%. It totally works. You would take the soul out of the person, and obviously, if you're wanting to help the person, then you erase their soul and you replace it with your new awareness that you've created for them. So you essentially place in your remote viewing body as your vehicle of awareness, yours, like my vehicle of awareness. I would place that in you by envisioning my remote viewing body stepping into your body. And now you're going to start taking on the traits of my awareness, because you're now a copy of my daemon. And now you're a copy of me. So everything you do now is now uplining to me, but you're also getting the benefits of my powers and abilities. So you're basically becoming a vampire, a copy of me. But I am obviously I'm the ultimate vampire, because I'm the one who did that in the first place. So all your energy will channel back to me. But once again, you are getting the benefits from my psychic ability. So you're also able to create the reality you want. You're also able to have amazing experiences because you're carrying my awareness. Okay, so this is this technology. This would be considered low magic. Okay, this would be considered low magic. Now, in order to master low magic, you need power. You need high levels of power. So knowledge is not going to get you there. So the fact that I'm sharing this with you, this technology, doesn't mean that you're able to do it, okay? There's a lot of people that think, oh, the more knowledge I gain, the more information I gain, I'm going to be able to do all these crazy occult things. But the reality is the occult magic, to get 100% effect rate, relies on power, not knowledge. Knowledge is important and it's intertwined with power. But if you only have knowledge and you only have read books and you've only studied but you haven't got your feet wet and practiced, you're going to be powerless, and all the things that you're going to be trying to do based on your study and your knowledge, you're not going to be able to do because you don't have the power to do that. Okay? It's like literally like the best concept or breakdown I can give you is like, you understand how to get in shape. You understand exactly what muscles you need to work to build your body in the exact way that you need to build it, but it's like you're not getting in the gym. So how are you going to expect to get in shape without having gone in the gym and lifted the weights and built the muscle, or gone on the treadmill and burnt the fat away? Okay? It's the same concept. It's not that confusing. Okay? So it's power dependent. So that's why it's important to understand occult initiation in its proper form, because that is the pathway to power, which comes from high magic. Initiation is high magic because the pathway is leading to source, which is where you link with source, which happens during the crossing of the abyss in regards to the Kabbalistic form of initiation. If that's the system that you work from, which I think is the best system to work from, because it gives you exact steps and it shows you exactly what you need to do. But that's only if you're doing it properly and you're working with the proper spirits to guide you, and you're not going to people that don't know what they're talking about. Okay, because there's a lot of people that are using this inverted system that I've mentioned many times, and they end up going insane. They end up losing everything. They end up committing suicide. They end up with nothing, and there's a reason for that, okay? So, low magic, to be successful with low magic, you need power. So, what we just got from this is that high magic has to do with achieving source within. It has to do with going through planetary evolution, which once again connects back to the spheres on the tree, because every sphere is correlated to a different planetary energy, which is also correlated to a different spiritual force, which is also equated to the archetypal paths of the tarot, which are archetypal built-in energies within these 5 dimensions in the astral plane. So you're going to be taking on all those energies, transforming yourself with them, gaining power. Now, once you've gained power, now you can start really mastering low magic, meaning you can cause massive amounts of change. So for example, I can create a spell, a simple spell, that literally changes every single person's perception of me, every single person here on planet Earth, especially in the United States, because the way magic works is it's kind of like an effect that grows on itself. So let's say I do a spell to change the perception of every single person on Earth. The first people it's going to affect in the most profound way is the people in my nearest environment. So it's going to start with the state I'm in. It's going to spread and spread and spread and spread. And there's obviously ways to further tap into that spreading ability. And I know about that as well. I'm not going to share it right now. I'll make a whole nother video on that. But a simple spell with where I'm at right now, I can change the perception of every single human being of me to respect me, to obey my intent, and to obey my willpower. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's not going to be people that challenge me still. It's still, that's still a part of life. There are going to be times where there's going to be people that don't necessarily agree with what I'm saying, but the reality is that the overarching energetic current of the quantum wave function on Earth here with the 5 dimensions that we're all existing in, they're all working in my favor. So let's say, for example, somebody tries to challenge me, and I've created a spell for myself that says everyone needs to obey my intent and my willpower, and they need to respect me. So this person that's now challenging me, they're going to recognize that the second they challenge me, there's going to be immediate kickback, because the quantum wave function around our environment, which is considered the matrix, since I've stepped out of the 5-dimensional Earth that we live in, connected with Source, gained the power from Source, now came back as this physical being inhabiting a body with a spirit that was the spirit was what went to Source and then came back into my body, known as my daemon. Now I'm an archetype, an architect of this reality here, because I am an aspect of Source. I exist outside of this matrix, but I'm in the matrix creating change from Source as an aspect of Source. So with that being said, the quantum wave function is obeying my intent because I'm an aspect of Source now. So once again, if someone challenges me after I've created a low magic spell or ritual to make sure that people respect me, obey my intent and my willpower, there's going to be very fast blowback on that person that is challenging me. And what do I mean by that? Let's say hypothetically they challenge me. What's going to happen in their consciousness is there are going to be energetic currents moving around the quantum wave function that are going to tell that person, you just messed up. You shouldn't have did that. You shouldn't have did that. You shouldn't have did that. Because I am influencing the 5-dimensional planes here on Earth. So depending on your power level, the reality is most people aren't going to challenge you because they're already going to pick up on that spell or on that ritual that you've performed in a low magic setting. So, for example, I did this, right? I've just recently started applying my low magic. I've been, like, for the past 3 years, I've been solely focused on high magic, getting to Source and coming back, and I have been doing changes with that, okay? I have changed my reality around me for sure, but I haven't started really applying my low magic. I didn't really set out and do all these spells to really bring in the change that I'm looking for in my life in a spell manner, and I just started doing it, and the reason why is because I was waiting till I really developed my powers. I was waiting till I connected with Source until I started doing my my spells, so that I didn't have to do it in the past and have to redo it in the future when I gain more power. I want to do it when I'm at a state of ultimate power, and that's where I'm at right now. So I did that, and no one challenges me really anymore in a way like. And you know, as I've been developing myself, not many people have really challenged me. There have been challengers, but the higher level, basically what I'm trying to explain is the higher level of power you get to, especially when you start applying your low magic, when you have that high level of power, your influence over the mass collective, or your influence over whatever your spell is geared towards or your low magic is geared towards is going to be that much stronger. So since I've done this low magic, everyone around me is obeying me. Everyone around me is giving me exactly what I need and what I want. I'm getting lots of respect. I'm extremely lucky. Like just luck is all around me. People are attracted to me. They want to know more about me, and they respect me. That's a big part. It's respectful. And now I'm able to do what I do and even have a better energy to do that, because now since I've done low magic on the mass collective around me, I don't have people that are like confused about my being. People that are like confused about like, why does this guy act this way, or what's he doing right now? Now that I've done low magic, it's programmed the people around me to automatically serve me, essentially, to obey me, to obey my will, to obey my intent, and to understand, or not only just obey me, but to respect me. So now, and you see how it really changes people. It's like setting a new program for the mass collective, okay? So with the current program that's been ran, it's been parasitic, it's been chaotic, and now you have somebody that's coming in as a new architect, and I'm not the only person that's doing this. There are other people that are doing this, and they are self-similar to me in regards to they've done the same process that I've done. They've gone through the same experiences that I've gone through, and they've achieved source and came back. There's not many of us, but there definitely are people who have done this and are doing it right now. And we're setting a new matrix. And because we're all aspects of source, we're all self-similar. So we're all doing similar things in regards to our change that we're causing here on earth. So all of our goal is not to manifest more chaos here on earth, because the source that we've connected to get all the power that we have through the high magic path is against chaos. Source doesn't like chaos. Source wants to source chaos. So when you link with source, but you're also a black magician, you're a vampire, you feed off chaos to then source it, and you use chaos on more chaos to eliminate it, to then take its energy. Okay? I've been saying this for a while now, and this is the truth. We are in the age of the vampire. And where I live is the highest species of bats that live here. And I didn't even know that before I moved here, but it's funny because I figured that out because I was out doing a ritual with one of my friends, and we saw a bat that was called the Mastiff bat, and it had a 22-inch wingspan. It was the biggest bat I've seen in my life. And then I looked it up on Google, and apparently where I live, this is the largest species, this state that I'm in, especially specifically the city, this is the largest, this place has the largest population of bats, 23 different species, which equals 5, which is once again taking it back to the pentagram and the 5 different dimensions, but they're bats, which has to do with vampirism, which is exactly what I'm talking about in regards to this technology that I'm explaining, where when you link with source while becoming a vampire, because you have to be a vampire to travel through the initiatory system, you have to exist in Universe B, you have to learn how to start training your energetic field to suck in chaos and then bring it back to source until you get to the point where you finally cross the abyss. You do it successfully, which is not easy by any means. Many people die from that. But if you do it properly, you can do it. And then you link with source, step out of the 5 dimensions from that experience, your soul completely changes, it collapses on itself, creates a black hole, then produces an infinite source of light. So that means your soul can no longer be destroyed, meaning, let's say every person in this planet tried to destroy you, and they tried to use occult force to destroy you. The worst thing that could happen, which is very unlikely in the first place, is that your soul would get re-collapsed on itself. But because it's a black hole, if you know about the science or the technology behind black holes, it would reform itself. You could think of it like rebooting itself. It would just collapse again and reboot once again and create like an infinite source of light and reform itself. And you literally become immortal. That's why when we look at vampires in regards to Hollywood, they're known as immortal beings. It's this technology that I'm talking about. And this is what real vampirism is. This is what being a real vampire is in regards to science. Okay, this is important to understand, but this is how you go through the initiatory system and become a source vampire. And once you've achieved source, that is the goal of high magic. Now you can start applying low magic and causing massive amounts of change, because low magic is dependent on power. So if you're achieving, or if you're striving towards reaching your highest potential and getting to source through high magic, through initiation, then at the end of that, your next step is to create your empire using low magic, creating everything around you, causing the change you want. And it's real. It really does happen. That's why the elites in the government, very small family, has been in control of the entire United States for a very long time. Not even the entire United States, a lot of the world for a very long time. But now there's new people that are self-similar to me that are going farther than what they went, becoming literally the new architects of the entire system. And it's very profound, and it is very, I mean, it's evolutionary. You know, this all connects back to what you hear in ancient texts or ancient scripts. There are going to be people that destroy the current order and build a new one. And you hear it in occult books too. And I am one of those people. I'm connected to a lot of these people. And there's not a lot of us, but we're out here, you know what I mean? And we're causing massive amounts of change. And that's the point of this video. I just want to let you know that this is the difference between low magic and high magic. Once again, it has nothing to do with vibration or one's higher energy, one's lower energy. It literally just has to do with one's achieving source, high magic, and then one's changing the reality around you here within the 5-dimensional system on Earth. So you can think of, once again, high magic is the pathway to achieving the most power by connecting with source, but once again, you have to go through initiations to get to source. You have to go through the experiences, which is very hard to go through. It's not easy. You lose almost everything going through that. That is illusionary. That is a part of your current energetic structure, but it forms you and rebuilds you into this new powerful being that then can pretty much be ultimately and infinitely powerful because you link with source. And then once you finish with that, low magic is just controlling the world around you. Okay, and the more power you have, the more you're able to cause change with your low magic. So for the average person, let's say, for example, someone who hasn't pursued high magic and hasn't pursued reaching source, there's a lot of chance that your low magic's not even going to work if you don't even have the right starting conditions, meaning you haven't done the, you haven't developed your own wand, you haven't done any spirit invocation, you haven't taken on any energy from any spirits. Like the reality is you're probably not going to be able to do any low magic whatsoever. Now, if you have, gained some magic power, maybe you've done invocation before, maybe you've done some special visualization that helped you gain power somehow, then your low magic may work and it may be able to cause change around you, but it's definitely not going to cause as much change as someone like myself who's gained all this power, reaching source and coming back. It's completely different levels, and this is one of my friends right now calling me that's in this process right now, high-level magician. So I'm going to silence that and call him back. But yeah, it's all self-similar. See, he's picking up on what I'm speaking about. That's why he's calling me right now. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers it, okay? They both are completely different sides of magic, okay? But in order to do low magic successfully, you need power, okay? And to use high magic is just to travel through initiation, to travel through the pathways that give you power, which is achieving source. That is literally what high magic is, okay? High magic, outside of the 5th dimension, is outside of what consists of the matrix here on Earth, okay? And we have religions like Buddhism that teaches you how to erase yourself from the matrix to get out of it, the 5 dimensions, but what they don't teach you is how to come back and use the power from erasing yourself out of the matrix. So essentially what they're doing is they're taking themselves out of the 5-dimensional plane here on Earth, and they're leaving so that they don't get, it makes sense because they don't want to get tortured. They understand that within this 5-dimensional plane, your soul can get tortured. It can go through cycles, it can get shelled, and it can get fed upon, which tortures the human being. So their whole process is to erase their soul and leave the 5 dimensions. But what they don't understand is that that's not what you want to do. You don't want to leave the 5 dimensions and go into source, because then you're giving up on your soul fluid and your spirit, which is the reason why you're here in the first place. So all that's going to happen to you if you do that is eventually you're going to reincarnate and come back again as a new spirit and a new soul, because source will do that to you. It'll bring you back because you did it wrong. You're supposed to link with source, step out of the 5-dimensional plane, link with it, with your remote viewing body, your daemon, your daemon, your divine intelligence. This is all an astral thing that it is meant to manifest throughout your process of initiation. You link with source, and then you come back into your physical body, remanifested, a completely different energetic being, a source vampire. At first you were a vampire, now you're a source vampire, which is the ultimate vampire. It's the vampire of all vampires. And now you create your reality, you create your empire. because now you can use your low magic and you have extreme power to do that. So that's it. Okay, that's it in a nutshell. So yeah, so I'm gonna leave it there. So if you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up. Also hit the notification bell because I post videos as often as I can, and definitely hit the subscribe button. I love to see my subscribers shoot through the roof. And definitely, if you would like to gain access to exclusive content that teaches you a little bit more about some of the stuff that I'm talking about in a deeper way, which will definitely offer you value, check out my Patreon. Okay, go to my description. It's the first link in the top. It says my Patreon right next to it. I have exclusive content in there. Some of it is geared towards actual occult practices that I'm performing on camera, and then I teach you how to do it yourself. For example, like an invocation where you're calling a spirit towards you. And the goal when you do this is to take on the powers and abilities and the skill sets of that spirit, to alchemize it, which is vampiric in nature, using specific techniques. Okay? That's what I teach. Now, what that does when you do it successfully is it increases your psychic power, it increases your psychic sensitivity, your psychic perception, and it increases your psychic protection. Okay? It gives you better luck and it protects you. Okay? You'll notice like bad situations don't happen to you anymore. It outsources itself. Okay? So that's very important. Okay, I have videos like that that are in those regards. And then the other bit of the content is geared towards the science of the initiatory system. So covering every one of the spheres of the Kabbalah, being the Sephiroth and the Qliphoth, the top of the tree and the bottom. Okay, I cover all the spheres. I give you the attributations, the symbolism, the spirits that are associated with them, and then my own personal experience having initiated through it myself, which is extremely valuable. I don't know anybody else that's really making videos about this, okay? All of this is on my Patreon. Now, in order to gain access to this content, you have to at least be a Tier 2 member. In order to be a Tier 2, it literally costs $9.95 a month. That's a reoccurring payment. But if you do the math, that will literally come out to less than $1 a day. So I don't even want it. If you can't afford that with the value that's on there, then you're obviously not supposed to even be coming across that in the first place. It's not meant for you. So, I mean, that's extremely cheap. The price will go up in the future, but for now, it's extremely cheap. So that's that. There are 4 tiers altogether. As you go up in tiers, the benefits increase as well. Definitely make sure you check out the highest tier that 100% offers the most value. And I help turn you into a vampire using my daemon, which is very valuable. Okay, very, very valuable. So definitely check that out. And with that being said, I would love to give a special shout out to the top tier members of the Patreon. I have their names that are linked or mentioned right below that Patreon link. So huge shout out to you, ladies and gentlemen. The next thing is huge shout out to all my Patreon subscribers. I highly appreciate you for taking your knowledge to the next level. And then another shout out to all my YouTube followers. Okay. Next thing I want to say is if you would like to book your own personal tarot reading with me, check out the second link below. You're going to see a link that says Square Appointments. That's where you can book it. You just set up your time. I'll get the notification. Now, what I do is I use 3 cards, present, near future, long-term future, and I do the reading on my own time. I make sure I send the videos by the time you book the reading, but I do it in my own space so that I can fully get in the zone. And then when I finish breaking down the reading, I take my camera out and I record your own personalized video of the entire reading and the entire breakdown from all the symbolism. And I go into depth in a very subjective way where I'm not just giving you the traditional understanding of the cards, but I'm giving you a very subjective and spiritual understanding of the cards. So I will literally tell you things that my spirit is telling me to say that I don't necessarily have any logic on. I may not know you personally, but my spirit knows you, because, you know, obviously when you book a reading with me, we're creating a link. So if my spirit needs to say something to you, I will say that. I'm giving you a very real reading, no sugarcoating, telling you exactly what needs to be said. And also I can break it down to the Hebrew letters that are located on the card or on the cards, which can connect it right back to Kabbalah to let you know where exactly you're at in your own personal evolutionary journey and potentially what to expect moving in the future. And what to look out for and things of that nature. So that's very valuable. So once again, if you would like to book that kind of reading with me, check out the second link below. That's where you will be able to do it. And then after it's done, I will send you the videos through WhatsApp. The reading will be a minimum of 30 minutes long, and the only thing that I require afterwards is your feedback. So other than that, that's going to wrap it up. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day or night, wherever you are, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.